Over the last 17 years, I've had the opportunity to teach over 1,500 students science. All of those students have stories, but tonight I'd like to tell you the story of one specific class. Last year I had the opportunity to teach a new course. It was the first time it was ever taught at our school. It was just a second-year physics course. And I was excited, but also a little intimidated. I knew the students that were signing up for that class, and they were really sharp. And add to that, the material I was supposed to teach, I'd not thought of for at least 15 years. I was feeling a little out of my league. But as they always do, the first day of school came, and the students came in with fresh calculator batteries, and I asked them to do a very specific task. I asked them to look at their partners, at the people around them, and explain to each other how a drinking straw works. I just thought this would get them talking, and it did. They talked for 5 minutes and then 10. But the only thing they could agree on was drinking straws definitely work when you put them in your mouth and you make a lemon sucking face. And that's it. And this was a second-year physics class, so we wanted a little bit more, so I pushed them. And that's when the tone in the room changed. They got frustrated. They thought that they should be able to explain something as simple as a drinking straw, but they had way more questions than they had answers. They had really, really good questions like, what happens to the air in my mouth when I'm using a drinking straw? And what about the straw itself? Doesn't matter how long it is or how wide it is. And the class started to, I don't know, implode might be the right word. And friendships were in danger. And they were arguing over who was right. And they were trying to convince other people that they knew how drinking straws worked. And I was not going to let the first day of this new class happen where they left the room more confused than they came in. So I called them to the front of the room, and I had filled the whiteboard with some equations and some diagrams. And I did my best 3 minutes on the physics of drinking straws. And I was really excited and proud of myself. And then I saw a hand go up in the back of the room, and it was Isaac's hand. And it turns out Isaac didn't have a question. Isaac said something that very few students are allowed to say. Isaac said something that kind of charted the rest of this course for us. He said, Mr. Buehler, I hear what you're saying, but it makes absolutely no sense, and I think you're wrong. And right then, I knew it was going to be a very, very good year. See, Isaac's comment was wonderful because it showed that he wasn't interested, his classmates weren't interested in watching me do science. They wanted to do science on their own. And that was an experience that I've often robbed my students because I've fallen into the trap of wanting to be the entertaining teacher. For me, the entertaining teacher means doing some sort of demonstration. It's like a school-sponsored magic trick, and then explaining the science to them afterwards. And administrators like it when I'm the entertaining teacher. They give me good reviews because my students are entertained or engaged, is that word? But I'm worried that it turns my students into observers rather than learners. And I've got evidence for this, is because when I see students from my first couple years of teaching, 5, 10 years even, our conversation always starts the same way. Mr. Buehler, remember when you, and that's the word that I key into, remember when you lit your pants on fire, remember when you froze your tongue with liquid nitrogen, remember when you shot that cow with a ping pong gun, remember when you. And I think that I've spent the first chunk of my career trying to show students how clever I was, rather than figuring out how clever they were. But Knowles helped me stop entertaining at my students and start learning with them. They provided me tools so I could focus my classroom around student ideas rather than my ideas. That conversation with the drinking straw never would have happened in my first couple of years. I would have been too scared that people would have had questions that I didn't know about. I would have been too scared that I couldn't answer them, so I would have started with the equations. I would have started with the diagrams. And then Isaac wouldn't have felt the freedom to say what he said. And my students would have left that day, tricked into thinking they knew something about how drinking straws worked. Knowles helped me shift the focal point of my classroom away from myself and towards my students. First, I got some grants to put lab equipment in the hands of my students. And then I saw all this curriculum that other people have developed that helped me guide the discussions with my students. But the thing that still stuck with me 17 years later is the community of people around me teachers and educators who have pushed me, who have shown me ways that I could grow that I never thought of. Aaron Debink is one of these people. He's another Knowles fellow. I know him deeply. I've spent a lot of time in his classroom, and him and mine. We've seen each other's students. We have the same goals. We've taught workshops together. And when I found out I was teaching this second-year physics class, I was really lucky because he started teaching that class the year before. So he had already kind of muddled through it for a year, and he gave me these labs and these ideas that he had. But one thing he never gave me were like his results, the coveted teacher key. Because he wanted me to work for them just like I was going to ask my students to work for them, and he was going to ask his students to work for them. So that's how last year went. I showed up early every day. I'd get out lab equipment. I'd start measuring things. I'd look for relationships in the world around me. And by the time my class showed up, I was so excited for them to be there because I wanted to see them, but also because I wanted to know if they got the same results that I did. I would kind of hover over them, staring at their data table. And then when they got done, I would say, "What did you find out?" And we'd compare our results. And some days we got the same things, and we'd give high fives, and we felt like we learned something. But the more interesting days were the days that we didn't agree. And we could sit down and we could talk about each other's experiments and our results and what else we could test. And the very few days we couldn't figure it out, we'd have to call Aaron in his class and figure out what they thought. And that's how the year went, asking questions. We started with straws. And then we went to how do we know that sound moves in waves? And can you put light in a jar? And what makes magnets so magnety? There's all kinds of questions that we could ask, and we could use experiments to find out. The year went on like that, but just like they all do, the year ended. And on the last day of school, this class just kind of gathered in my room, and we shared stories about the year. This particular class did amazing things. They built boats out of cardboard and sailed them across the swimming pool. They did science with elementary school students to build steamboats, and they happened to set the gym on fire. We have all of these stories from the year. When they left, some students were thoughtful enough to drop a note on my desk. And after they left, I flipped through those notes, and I realized that the notes had changed. And after 17 years, the notes had changed. They weren't about dumb stuff that I did to hurt myself. These notes were about how they had changed and what they had did and what they could do. And I'd like to share a piece of one of those notes with you. This is from a student named Macy. I'd known Macy since a chemistry class I taught her earlier. Macy is like a driven type A individual that has never even considered getting a B. Macy is the quintessential student, but her ideas of science have changed, similar to the ways that my ideas of teaching science have changed. So these are her words. I used to hate science. To me, it was all memorization and facts, usually facts I didn't know. But science isn't about what you know. It's about what you ask. It's about finding answers through trial and error. It's about asking questions that only you can answer, so you design your own experiment. In the words of another one of my students, Isaac, maybe you remember him from like 4 minutes ago with a hand raised. Macy, I hear what you're saying, and it makes perfect sense. I think you're right. Thank you. I think we could enjoy our dinner now.